Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to all and enjoy the class 1 Introduction to Business Research. In this class, we will discuss a definition of research, objective of business research, benefit of business research, qualities of researcher, and last one, criteria of good research. Now, we will discuss one after another in briefly. First, definitions of research, or what is research, how we can define research, what do you mean by research. The word research is composite of two syllables, re and search. The dictionary defines the former as a prefix meaning again, a new, or over again, and the latter as a verb meaning to examine closely and carefully, to test and try, or to probe. Another way, research is one of the systematic ways to find answer to your question. Another way, research is a structured inquiry that utilizes acceptable scientific methodology to solve the problem and create new knowledge that is generally acceptable. Another way, research as a systematic investigation to find answers to a problem. And last one, business research is defined as the systematic and objective process of generating information for aid in making business decision. This is called business research. In simply, business research is a systematic investigation to find out new knowledge from the business phenomena that is generally accepted. This is called business research. Objectives of business research. What are the objectives of a business research? The objective of research is to find answerable, to find answer to the question by applying scientific procedure. In other words, the main aim of the research is to find out the truth which is hidden and has not yet been discovered. Although every research study has its own specific objectives, the research objectives may be broadly grouped as follows. Firstly, to gain familiarity with the new insight into a phenomenon, that is formulative research study. Second, to accurately portray the characteristics of a particular individual, group, or a situation, that is the objective of descriptive research study. Third, to analyze the frequency with which something occurred, that is the objectives of diagnostic research study. And last one, to examine the hypothesis of a causal relationship between two variables. This is the objectives of hypothesis testing research study. These are the main objectives of a business research. And next question, Benefit of business research. What are the benefits? What are the advantages of a business research? There are many benefits of a business research. Here discuss specifically. Business research help you communicate with the current and potential customer in the better way. Second, it helps you identify opportunities and threats in the business place. Third, it helps you minimize the risks of your business. Next, business research is used to plan investment and financial outcomes effectively. Next, it helps you build a better market position in the business area. Next, it can keep you update with the current trend and innovation in the business. And last, qualities of a good researcher. What are the qualities of a good researcher? First, friendly with the respondents. A good researcher must have the quality to become friendly with respondents. It should have to talk to them in the same language in which the responding are answering and make happy mate. Second, free from bias. A researcher would be good if he has no bias to study about the problematic solution, but he is capable of providing clear informations. Next, capacity of depth information. A researcher should have the capacity to collect more and more information in a little time. Next, accuracy. A researcher would be said to be good if he is accurate in his views. His idea must be accurate one time, faithful. A researcher must have to be faithful. Its idea would be free from false report and saying information. Next, economical. Good researcher must have control over his economic resources. He has to keep his finance within limit and spend carefully. Careful in listening. A researcher would be more careful in listening. And last one, expert in subject. A researcher would be a good one if he has full comment over his subject. He makes the use of his theoretical study in the field of subject. These are the qualities of a good researcher. And next, criteria of a good business research. Question: what are the criteria of a good business research? There are various criteria of a good business research. Here we will discuss in specifically. First, one of the important characteristics of a good research is that the purpose of the research is carefully or clearly defined. A research study with carefully defined purpose find a wider acceptance and acknowledgement within the research community. Next, the second important characteristics of a good research is that the research method should be defined in a clear manner with sufficient details. Next, the third thing to remember is that any limitation and assumption made by the researcher during the course of the study should be carefully highlighted in the research. And the fourth thing to remember is that as far as possible, the research design should be planned in a way that the results generated are as objective as possible. This will provide an easier understanding about the findings of a research. Next, the another thing to be considered by the researcher is that there should be sufficient data to investigate the research topic, and the researcher should carefully check the reliability and validity of the data. Further, in order to deliver a good research, a researcher should confirm the conclusion of those justified by the data. And lastly or finally, a good researcher depends a great deal on the integrity and commitment of the researcher. These are the criteria of a good business research. থ্যাংক ইউ, সবাইকে ধন্যবাদ।